Hey guys, welcome back to Shep Talk and welcome back to Shep Talk Movie Reviews. Before we get into the review though, a quick admin note. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the bell icon so you get notified whenever I upload a video. Also, I am on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Links will be in the description down below. Now, let's get to the review of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was directed by Stephen Herrick and was written by Chris Matheson and Ed Solomon. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure stars Keanu Reeves, Alex Winter, and George Carlin. Quick synopsis. Ted must pass his history class or his dad is going to send him to an Alaskan military school, which would mean breaking up wild stallions before they've had the chance to save the world. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure came out on February 17th, 1989. Bill and Ted is one of those movies where once you have watched it, it sticks with you for the rest of your life. I know this movie is not meant for everybody, but I seriously have to say I don't know if I can name someone that I know that doesn't like this movie. To this day, I or someone I know will quote a line from it. On the surface, this movie is not that new or even giving us truly something original. The two main characters are typical 80s California teen stereotypes who want nothing to do with school and only to play in their band. They don't even take the time to learn the instruments they are using or how to sing because they just are slackers who think that talent is inside them and they just haven't been discovered yet. Watching this movie now, some 30 years later, being older and a bigger geek than I was then, one of the things that really stood out to me was the phone booth. Using it with 2 or 3 people, sure, that works fine, but cramming as many people as they did into it was just crazy. I know they turned it on their side at one point, but before that they were cramming like 4 or 5 people into that thing. And how did they punch the numbers in and get everyone inside before it started traveling through time? Also, seeing it in 2020, I was like, so did no one point out to them that Doctor Who uses a phone booth as well? Also, looking at this movie now, I really don't know if Bill and Ted really learned anything throughout this movie. I mean, they had to pass their history class so Ted's dad wouldn't send them off to military school. And before they got their hands on a time machine, it didn't really look like they were going to be able to put together a good enough presentation to pass. I give them props, though, for thinking about pulling figures throughout history to help them in their presentation, but really half of them didn't even speak English, and Bill and Ted were just bullshitting their translation. I guess the teacher gave them points for ingenuity and effort, and that counted for a lot. It did show that Bill and Ted did have a talent for stage presentation, though how they set everything up is a good question. Well, I guess they could have said they used the time machine to go back and set everything up to how they wanted, so when they arrived late, everything was ready for them. They might have said that, I can't remember. But man, thinking about time travel can get everything wonky. Really what makes this movie, at least in my opinion, is Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. Without these two, I think we would have gotten another stereotypical 80s time travel movie that we would have forgotten about in a few months. But because of these two, they became so ingrained in our lives, so much so that Keanu Reeves got worried that he was only going to be known for his role as Ted Theodore Logan. Luckily for Keanu Reeves, that wasn't the case, and he has become not only an A-list movie star, but also known as a great person in real life as well. And Alex Winter has gone on and made some great documentaries, as well as directed some TV shows and movies. But both of them are still putting the work in Hollywood and have grown from their Bill and Ted days. Both of them never thought, though, that they would be reprising these roles some 30 years later, though. And then you can't review Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and not talk about the late and great George Carlin. To say I will be sad when I watch Bill and Ted 3 this September is because we won't be able to see George Carlin reprise his role as Rufus. I know George Carlin wasn't the first choice that they were trying to go for, a more serious actor to play off Keanu and Alex, but I'm still happy they went with George Carlin. Whenever I think Bill and Ted, I think of George Carlin and how he seems so perfect to play Rufus. I will say even 30 years later, this film does hold up. I mean, the CGI is bad. There's no helping that. I don't even think it was good in 1989, but it just hasn't aged well. But there isn't really that much CGI in this movie, so it really doesn't take away from the film. But the rest of the scenes were shot on location, and so there really wasn't much doctored in the scene. Overall, even 30 years later, I still love this movie. I will hopefully be still quoting Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure in another 30 years. Watching it now older and having seen more cinema and entertainment has given me giving me a new perspective on when I watched this. When I was that pre-teen, seeing Bill and Ted just made me laugh and enjoy the antics I saw them doing. Now into my 40s, I look at the movie and see that they did have a message they wanted to pass on, a message that in these times we need to really embrace. I will leave you with the one that I think we need to embrace in 2020. Be excellent to each other. With all that being said, Shep Talk gives Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure 3 Sheps out of 5. That is all I have time for today. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, check this video out over here. I'm sure you'll enjoy it just as well. But again, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the next review.